you don't learn from history, you are destined to repeat it, which is exactly what the Braves have planned. A repeat performance, chipper about one win and looking to go up 2-0 today. We welcome our friends from the Fox Family Networks inside the Fox Network Center. Jeannie Zalasko along with Kevin Kennedy. The road to the World Series goes through Fox Sports, your exclusive home for the entire postseason. Of course, the Astros' history includes 4 titles in 5 years, but never getting past the first round. And Kevin, Brian Jordan's bat is not helping matters.
Well, Brian Jordan was clutch down the stretch. He knocked the Mets out with a couple of big home runs. This guy yesterday had 2 RBIs, a home run. You can't forget about Brian Jordan, 341 hitter the last 10 days of the season. He helped the Braves get to where they are right now.
From the good bats to the good arms from a Tuesday. And some 15 months ago, Curt Schilling came to Arizona with one goal in mind, return to the postseason. Crunch time, as he called it, a chance for a pitcher to make a name for himself. Mission accomplished.
Well, last night, Curt Schilling was outstanding. 101 pitches, 74 of them for strikes. Phenomenal. They only walked one man. He made them expand the zone.
The tone was set tonight in the first inning, for me anyway. When we get guys on second, third, nobody out, and Matt shuts us down. And I knew right then that it was going to be everything I had for 9 or we were going to get beat tonight.
A 3-hit shutout. His team has a 1-0 lead over St. Louis.
Right there, the Atlanta Braves and, of course, the Arizona Diamondbacks. 1-0 leads both of them, Jeannie.
Yes, you bring up the Braves.
Well, I bring up the Braves because Tommy Glavine's going today, and he's had a little bit of a tough time in Enron Field, even though he's 9-0 since 1991 in Houston.
Something to keep in mind. One of the games that hasn't even gotten underway, the A's and the Yankees, first shot across the bow. Did you really expect them to be quiet? Come on now. Roger Clemens said if the A's crowd the plate, he knows what needs to be done.
Don't dig in or else. That is typical Roger Clemens. Remember, the Oakland A's beat him twice last year in the first round of playoffs, but he came back in the ALCS and did this. Went inside. As Koufax used to say, you throw inside so you can pitch away. He did this and struck out 15 Mariners afterwards by going down and away. This is typical Roger Clemens. He knows they're not expected to win. He's going to be up for it tonight. Expect a big game. A lot of competition tonight. In
fairness, Art Howell's response says the Yankees need a great series, just have a shot to beat us. And that'll do it for us, but a great day of baseball is on tap leading up to that series, that showdown on the Fox Network, Game 1 of the Yankees and A's tonight. The journey, of course, continues in Houston, where the Astros' hope of salvaging a split rests on the arm of Malicki.
It's a hot, humid afternoon in Houston as Fox Family welcomes you to Enron Field, where the Astros look to bounce back following their 7-4 loss in Game 1 yesterday. It's Game 2 of the National League Division Series, the Atlanta Braves and the Houston Astros. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kenny Albert along with Rod Allen. A great day of baseball yesterday, 3 more games today. And Rod, less than 24 hours ago here in Houston, the Astros lost home field advantage, wrestled away by the Braves, and as has been the case so many times in recent years, the Braves led by a pair of guys named Mr. Jones.
Big-time players show up in big games, and that was the case with Andrew Jones yesterday, taking a double away from Moises Alou in right center field, and then was Chipper Jones in the 4th inning, taking a double away from Bagwell. Great footwork by Chipper Jones. These guys always show up in big games, and then the 8th inning, a 3-run home run off the closer, Billy Wagner, to put the game out of reach. And just for good measure, Andrew Jones gets in the act from an offensive standpoint. These guys, in every season they've been in the big leagues, they have been in the postseason.
Now, the Astros led yesterday's game 3-2 in the 8th inning before the Braves scored 4 runs in the top of the 8th. And in a city that has never seen the Astros win a playoff series in 6 previous tries, fans are left to wonder, will history repeat itself this week?
Well, first and foremost, Houston's got to do a better job hitting the baseball. They've got to manufacture some runs against this very good Atlanta team. They made some crucial errors in yesterday's game, and their bullpen wasn't very good when Larry Dierker went down to get them. They've been good all season, but you see their numbers yesterday: 2 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs, 2 home runs, and Larry Dierker will most definitely need that bullpen today. Dave Malicki making his first postseason start.
Malicki went 7-3 with the Astros after coming over from the Tigers. His mound opponent, two-time Cy Young Award winner Tom Glavine, who has not lost here in Houston since 1991. Game 2 coming up after these messages from your local station. With overcast skies and some drizzle, the roof is closing here at Enron for Game 2 as the National League Central Division champion Astros take the field. Bobby Cox going with the same lineup and batting order as in Game 1 yesterday. So Marcus Giles, the second baseman, leads off, followed by first baseman Julio Franco. Chipper Jones bats third. Brian Jordan in the cleanup spot. Then left fielder B.J. Surhoff. Center fielder Andrew Jones bats sixth. Bottom of the order, shortstop Ray Sanchez. Catcher Paul Bacco. And the Braves pitcher today, Tom Glavine, as Atlanta goes up against 33-year-old right-hander Dave Malicki, making his first career postseason start.
Well, Dave Malicki, nice pickup for the Houston Astros. Came over in June from the Detroit Tigers in exchange from Jose Lima. He's a guy that's not going to challenge you. He'll test the patience of the hitters. Good sinker ball, not an overpowering fastball, good curveball, good slider. Really relies on using both sides of the plate. You see a season record of 7-3 with a 5.09 earned run average. This is 15th start for the Houston Astros.
And those are his numbers with the Astros in Detroit in 15 starts. Malicki went 4-8 with a 7.33 earned run average, but manager Larry Dierker feels the biggest difference has been confidence.
Well, anytime you pitch on a staff that's got some other guys that have been having great years, you're talking about Oswalt and Wade Miller. We saw him yesterday, and you've got Shane Reynolds. A guy like Malicki can just slot himself into that fourth spot in the rotation or that fifth spot in the rotation and just go out and compete, because he's really not the guy that they count on day in and day out.
Malicki with his fifth major league team, only 1-3 against the Braves in 11 career starts. His battery mate Brad Ausmus threw out two Braves attempting to steal second yesterday. Around the infield, Bagwell, Biggio, Lugo, who made the key error in the eighth, and Castilla, Berkman, Hidalgo, and Alou in the outfield.
What really helps to have a guy like Ausmus catching. He and Dave Malicki played together in Detroit last year, and he has really worked well with Dave Malicki. We were talking to Larry Dierker before the game about Ausmus, and he said this guy has been something like the MVP of their team, the way that he's handled that young pitching staff. I mean, even the veterans, guys that he really didn't know. He's a take charge type guy, and that's what you need, especially in big games like this. You want a guy behind the plate that is very, very intelligent.
Working behind Ausmus, Chuck Merriweather, who worked first base in yesterday's game. Remember, Ausmus and Malicki have worked together not only this year with the Astros, but last year in Detroit. Marcus Giles leading off. First pitch popped up to the right side, and shallow right, it's Biggio. Remember, in the first inning yesterday, Giles started the game with a single to left and then came around to score, giving the Braves a 1-0 lead.
Well, if you're Julio Franco, that's not what you want to see. Remember, Julio Franco started the season in the Mexican League, and anytime you haven't seen a particular pitcher out there, you want that leadoff hitter to go up there and maybe take a pitch, take a couple of pitches and work the count so you can see exactly what that opposing pitcher out there is featuring today. Right now, Franco has no idea what Malicki's pitches are doing.
He has never faced Malicki. Julio had 2 hits in yesterday's game. 2 for 5. Played in 25 regular season games with the Braves during the months of September and October. Takes a called strike, 0-1. The roof is just about closed. It takes 12 minutes to close the roof here at Enron. 0-1 on Franco. Chipper Jones waiting on deck. Franco's bat goes flying into the 10th row behind the Braves dugout. 0-2. Fans don't want that gentleman to give it back.
Well, I'm sure Franco may get that bat back because he's had a lot of hits with it. and then he'll give the fan another one. That's what I'm talking about. If you've never seen a guy before, you do not know a sinker ball moves that much down and away from you. Therefore, you swing at that pitch.
In fact, Franco motioned for the bat boy to send another bat up into the stands.
I don't think whoever he's going to give that bat to will be able to swing it. We told you that Franco uses one of the heaviest bats in the big leagues. 34-ounce bat Franco uses.
And you were a former teammate of Franco's back in 1988 with the Indians.
Yeah, he used a 36-36 back then.
No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, top of the first inning in Houston. Low and away, 1-2. Did the bat boys send Brian Jordan's bat up?
That's what it looks like. You saw Jordan on the top step asking for that bat back. He hit a home run in yesterday's game, so you know he wants the bat back that he used in yesterday's game.
Brian says send another one up there. May ask for it back later, who knows? Here's the 1-2 from Malicki. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes. Julio Franco listed as a 40-year-old, but as we talked about yesterday, he might be as old as 43. Moving to his right, the shortstop, Lugo. High throw off the glove of Bagwell. We talked to Larry Dierker before the game and asked him about whether or not he had considered starting the veteran Jose Vizcaino at shortstop. But Dierker feels that Lugo has better range, a stronger arm, more power at the plate, and Vizcaino has not played much shortstop over the last 2 or 3 years.
Well, I'm not so sure Bagwell can't catch this ball, but what Bagwell is trying to do is stay on the base and reach up and catch it at the same time. If he comes off the bag, I mean, he may be safe and he may be out, but Bagwell's got to come up off the bag because you see Franco, he's not even in your picture. Bagwell had plenty of time to jump up, catch that ball, and come back down on the bag.
So Lugo charged with his second error of this series. He committed 22 during the regular season. What must be going through Lugo's mind right now, Rod?
Well, you know, anytime you've got a young player out there and he's made a couple of crucial errors, he's going to be thinking about it. He's never been in the postseason. But you see Bagwell, this ball hits the tip of his glove. Franco's not even in the picture. He can jump up for that ball, and he still had time to come down. That really shouldn't have been an error on Julio Lugo.
Ironically, it was Julio Franco who reached on the Lugo error yesterday in the 8th inning, and that was followed by the Chipper Jones 3-run home run.
Well, you can't give the Braves extra outs. Here's a play right here. Taylor made double play ball. He doesn't get to it. Dierker goes to the bullpen to get the closer, Billy Wagner, who had owned Chipper in his career, and Chipper plays long ball, 3-run home run into the left field seats.
The 2-1 as Ausmus fires down to first. Franco slides back in.
That's a great play by Ausmus. You don't see a lot of catchers doing this, but anytime you can snap, throw back down to first base and almost catch a guy, it's a great play. Look at the footwork here by Ausmus. The only way you make this play is by having great feet. He and Bagwell had already given each other some type of hand signal where they've made eye contact to tell one another that that particular play was on, and they ran it to perfection. That ball thrown right on the bag. Great throw by Ausmus.
Yesterday he nailed Franco trying to steal second. Lecky just missing outside, so the count is full.
You know, something else that does is it makes you more honest at first base. Now, Franco won't get off as far. This next pitch very, very close, but Chipper with a great eye. The ball on the outside part of the plate.
Franco goes, and Chipper fouls it back to the screen. In the 4th inning yesterday, Chipper Jones struck out, and that is when Franco attempted to steal second and was thrown out for the strike him out, throw him out double play, and that was on a 3-2 pitch as well.
Well, batting average here of switch hitters all time. Chipper Jones second on that list, 307. About Roberto Alomar, Bernie Williams, 3rd and 4th, respectively.
There goes Franco. Ball 4. First and second for the Braves here in the first inning with only one away.
Larry Dierker probably thinking about that air that was given to the shortstop, but it's a play that Bagwell should have made.
So with 2 on, 1 out, here's Brian Jordan, who drove in the first 2 Braves runs yesterday. A sacrifice fly in the first inning, a solo home run in the fourth.
Well, these situations are where Brian Jordan comes up big. When opposing pitchers pitch around Chipper Jones, Jordan's the guy that drives the ball in. He uses the center field, right center, left field better than anybody.
And he has had great success against Dave Mlicki. 7 of 13 lifetime with 3 home runs.
Here's the areas where Brian Jordan hits the ball the majority of the time, which tells me he's really waiting, allowing the ball to get deeper in the strike zone. Very seldom will you see him out in front. Although against a guy like Mlicki, he will really test your patience.
2 balls, 1 strike.
Well, you can see Mlicki early on really picking on the corners, and Chuck Merriweather is not giving him the call. That's the one strike this season that I have noticed umpires not giving to the pitchers. The strike east to west in the strike zone. Of course, the elevated strike now, 2 baseballs above the belt buckle, is now being called a strike.
Again, Mlicki missing on the outside corner, 3-1.
Well, Malicki's going to learn the hard way. He continues to try to go on the outside corner. He is hitting the mitt of Ausmus. That's exactly where the mitt is, and apparently Ausmus feels like sooner or later Chuck Merriweather is going to give Mlicki that pitch, but he hasn't given it to him here in the first inning.
Line drive caught by Castilla. Double play. Castilla in perfect position. And the top half of the first comes to an end. So the Lugo error does not off the Astros. Back in Houston as we head to the bottom of the first inning. The only change made by Larry Dierker, he flip-flopped Hidalgo and Castilla in the order. Craig Biggio leads off, followed by Julio Lugo. Jeff Bagwell, terrific career numbers against Tom Glavine, bats third. Lance Berkman in the cleanup spot, then Moises Alou. Richard Hidalgo, 9 for 21 lifetime against Glavine, bats sixth this afternoon. Then Vinny Castilla, Brad Ausmus, and the pitcher Dave Mlicki against 35-year-old left-hander Tom Glavine.
Well, Tom Glavine winningest left-handed pitcher the last 13 years in the big leagues. 191 wins, 16-7 this year, respectable earned run average of 3.57. He's a big-time pitcher, big-game pitcher, and he's pitched in the postseason an awful lot.
And the first pitch to Biggio is a called strike, 0-1. Biggio 1 for 4 in game 1. Lifetime .287 hitter against Glavine with 2 home runs. Sanchez at short. Climbing the stairs, able to make the catch. Not defensively for the Braves. Around the infield, Franco, Giles, Sanchez, and Chipper Jones. Surhoff in left, Andrew Jones in center, Jordan in right, and Paco behind the plate. We saw a couple of the terrific defensive plays made by the Braves yesterday in our open. Andrew Jones with a diving catch in the second inning to rob Moises Alou, and then Chipper Jones in the fourth, taking the base hit away from Jeff Bagwell.
Well, that was a difference in the game for the Braves.
Lugo into the right field corner. Jordan at the edge of the warning track for the second out.
We talked about the great plays by the Braves. They did also capitalize on a couple of miscues by the Houston Astros. And one thing you cannot give a team, a battle-tested team like the Braves, is extra outs. You give them 3 outs in an inning, you're okay a lot of the times. But when you start getting up 4 and 5 outs in an inning, you're in trouble. They're that good. They are that confident right now. We were on the field before the game, and it's a big difference in the confidence level of both teams.
Even heading into the series, at the workout on Monday, Larry Dierker said, what I think is important is winning at least one game at home before we go to Atlanta.
Yeah, and you wouldn't hear most managers say that. They would be talking about winning both of the games. And on the other hand, we were talking to Bobby Cox in his office before the game because he had to make a very tough decision in leaving Marquis off of the roster in favor of Kevin Millwood, the other way around. Kevin Millwood was left off the roster because he was only going to go with a 3-man rotation. And he told us Kevin Millwood will be ready for the NLCS. That's confidence.
And specifically to start game 4.
Right. I mean, there was no if we get to the NLCS. He says when we get there, Kevin Millwood will be our number 4 starter. That's why he's in Florida right now pitching in a couple of instructional league games.
Now 3-1 on Bagwell. Bobby Cox going with a 3-man rotation in this divisional series. Maddox and Glavine would both go on 3 days rest if needed in potential games 4 and 5 over the weekend. Bagwell works out a walk. Walked 106 times during the regular season, 3rd in the National League. While Glavine walked a career-high 97 batters this season.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see just how much of the outside corner Chuck Merriweather, home plate umpire, gives to Glavine. Anyone that has seen Glavine pitch the last 10 years knows that he works on the outside corner. And if you give him that pitch, he'll stretch it a little bit further, and he'll continue to go out there as long as the hitter is swinging and the umpire is giving it to him. We saw in the first inning against the Braves, Dave Malicki was not getting that pitch.
Lance Berkman is 0 for 8 lifetime against Glavine, who throws over to first. Keep in mind, Chipper Jones was 0 for 8 lifetime against Billy Wagner heading into yesterday's game.
Well, Lance is going to have to display a little bit more patience today against a guy like Glavine. Glavine's not going to give you a lot of fastballs, and neither did Maddox yesterday, and he really struggled.
Glavine missing away. Berkman, 1 hit in 4 at-bats yesterday, struck out twice. His first 2 times up. Singled in the 8th.
Yeah, he got that hit off Smoltz, a 98-mile-per-hour fastball. Berkman is an outstanding fastball hitter, but struggles with the softer type pitches.
Bagwell goes, Glavine to first, and Bagwell is gunned down. 1-3-6. And that does it for the Astros in the bottom half of the first. You're watching the baseball playoffs on Fox Family. Kenny Albert, Ron Allen back in Houston after Glavine picked off Bagwell.
Well, Glavine's such a smart player. Watch this foot right here. As soon as he picks it up, you're going to see Bagwell take off. I mean, Bagwell is clearly going first movement here. Any movement of the body of Glavine, and he's taking off. And Glavine realizing how important it is for Houston to try to get a run on the board early, able to go over there and pick him off. That's why he and Greg Maddux have won so many games. They field their position well, and they also hold runners on very well.
Glavine picked off 3 base runners during the regular season. B.J. Surhoff leads off for the Braves here in the second against Dave Malicki. Surhoff 1 for 4 yesterday, 4 for 19 lifetime against Malicki. Surhoff, Andrew Jones, and Ray Sanchez for the Braves here in the second inning. Surhoff into the left field corner. A stand-up double leading off the second inning.
Well, one of the things Malicki's going to have to do in this game, and he's going to have to do it in a hurry or he's not going to be around very long, he's going to have to challenge somebody inside, whether it be a left-handed hitter or a right-handed hitter. Every hitter that has gone to the plate, the balls have been on the outside part of the plate. Surhoff knows that, and he slices this ball down the left field line. That's a nice piece of hitting right there by Surhoff.
Curve misses, ball 1 to Andrew Jones, who went 2 for 4 yesterday with a solo homer in the 9th inning.
Well, Jones has got one job and one job to do only in this situation. That's get something out over the plate and try to drive something through that hole on the right side of the infield for a base hit or at least get Surhoff over to third base. That's how you win in playoff games. You've got to manufacture runs. Biggio playing very, very close to second, holding Surhoff on, and Bagwell at first playing about 10 feet off the line. That's because they know exactly what Jones is trying to do here.
Diving stop by Lugo. Low throw. Surhoff on his way to third. First and third for the Braves with nobody out.
Larry Durker told us before the game that Lugo had exceptional range, and he displays it right there. This ball hit extremely hard off the bat of Jones. He gets over there, plenty of time to throw him out, and he throws the ball down in the dirt. Bagwell did the best job that he could do to try to knock it down, and the hustling Surhoff gets over to third base. Heads up base running by BJ. Lugo's a little gun shy right now.
An infield hit for Andruw Jones. No error on the play. Lugo made a terrific stop to keep the ball from getting past the infield. And then he bounced the throw across to Bagwell. So first and third, nobody out for Ray Sanchez. First pitch, ground ball to the shortstop, Lugo. To second for one. 6-4-3 double play, but Surhoff scores, and the Braves take a 1-0 lead.
You know, Kenny, it never fails. When you're on the field and you've been struggling from a defensive standpoint, it just seems like that ball finds you every single play. And that has been the case here in the early going with Lugo. That is the third ball that has been hit to the youngster. That one he fielded very cleanly.
There is Jose Vizcaino, who came in late in yesterday's game. No RBI for Sanchez on the double play. Braves with a 1-0 lead. 2 away. Baco off Biggio's chest, and then he recovers. Braves again take the early lead. A run on 2 hits. 1-0 Atlanta. Pick up the specially marked Mach 3-pack in stores now and get a free limited edition World Series watch inside. Go to Mach3.com for details. Bottom of the second inning from Enron Field. Game 2 of the National League Division Series. Braves lead the series 1-0 and the game 1-0. Middle of the order for the Astros. Here in the second against Tom Glavine. Lance Berkman saw one pitch rod back in the first inning. He was at the plate when Bagwell was picked off. So now another shot for Berkman, who went 1 for 4 yesterday in game 1. Makes a called strike, 1-1.
Berkman had a great year for Houston. 331, 34 home runs, 126 RBIs.
Away 2-1. He hit 28 of those home runs through the end of July. Only 6 over the last 2 months. Slowed down a bit down the stretch. Played in his first All-Star game. Berkman to deep center field. Jones spins and then makes the catch on the run.
Does he make everything look easy out there or what? That's one of the toughest plays for a center fielder. The ball hit directly over your head. You've got to make the proper turn. You've got to take your eye off the baseball, run to a spot where you think the ball is coming down to, readjust your body, and make the play. What a job by Jones. When he takes his first step, Kenny, he is going full speed. No one in the game of baseball plays center field like Andruw Jones.
With 1 away, here's Moises Alou. First pitch, base hit into left field. First hit of the series for forces Salou. A one-out single here in the second.
Now here's where Glavine gets good. Because he has that good sinker down and away from the right-handed hitters, an aggressive hitter like Hidalgo may be a little over-aggressive today. And if he is, he'll hook that ball right to the shortstop Sanchez, and they'll get that 6-4-3 double play to get out of the inning.
So with Alou on at first, Richard Hidalgo steps in. 0 for 1 yesterday with 3 walks, which is a new Astros postseason record, 3 walks in 1 game. Hidalgo has owned Glavine in his career, 9 for 21 against Glavine with a home run. Hidalgo batting 6th today. He was 7th in the order in yesterday's game.
Well, the reason why he flip-flopped Castilla to 7th today and Hidalgo back to 6th is the fact that he did get those 3 walks yesterday. Larry Dierker does not want the bat being taken out of the hands of Hidalgo, so now he's protecting him with Castillo.
Now 2-1. Castilla on deck. 1 out, bottom of the second inning. Braves leading 1-0. The 2-1. Popped foul to the right side. Now 2-2.
You know, it's not a knock on Brad Ausmus, who had a good game yesterday, 2-run home run against Maddox. But anytime you can put Castilla behind a guy like Hidalgo to protect him, to make sure Hidalgo gets pitched to, that's exactly what you're going to do. For this very reason, when he catches up with it, he can drive the ball out of the ballpark.
Brought a change in scoring in the top half of the inning. Lugo credited with a throwing error for allowing Surhoff to advance from second to third. So therefore the Braves run is unearned. Andruw Jones still gets credit for an infield single on the play. So Lugo with 2 errors today, 3 in the series.
Wow.
The 2-2. Fly ball shallow left. Backpedaling and calling for it is the shortstop Sanchez, 2 away.
Great sequence of pitches by Glavine. Any right-hander that goes to the plate against Glavine, you know for the most part he's going to throw you on the outside part of the plate. But what he did there to Hidalgo, he doubled up with fastballs inside, and when a guy's throwing 88 miles per hour, he can get in on you if you're looking away from him. That's why he's been so good.
And he has been outstanding as of late. 5-0 his last 7 starts during the regular season. Over his last 17 starts, only 2 losses, 10-2.
Glavine did have 97 base on balls this season, which is a career high for him. Some people say because he had not been getting the outside corner. Glavine was a little stubborn earlier in the season, refused to give in, refused to go out over the plate. And finally started to do so, started throwing more fastballs inside, started throwing some breaking balls on the inside part of the plate. Then when you do that, that opens up that outside corner for you again.
Castilla into right. Jordan makes the play, moving to his left, so that will do it for the Astros. Alou stranded in the second. Braves third base coach Ned Yost wearing a microphone for us today. We take you back to the top of the second inning.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Damn, BJ, bounce it. Shoot, come on, get out, get out, get out. Right there, stay on the bag.
Boy, it's nice to get that kind of help from your third base coach. You know, Kenny, I can remember when I played that when you run down the line, you hit a ball right at somebody, you're telling them to kick it, you're telling them to throw it in the dirt. You just want to get on base, and that was the case right there. And heads-up job there by the third base coach, Ned Yost. He knows also that Jeff Bagwell over at first base right now playing with a torn labrum in his right shoulder, not throwing the baseball very well. And that's the only reason why you allow a guy like B.J. Surhoff to try to get to third there when he's already in scoring position.
So the Braves with a 1-0 lead. Tom Glavine leads off here in the third. Glavine 8 hits this year and 57 at bats, a 140 average. But he did lead the National League with 17 sacrifice bunts. Glavine, Giles, and Franco for the Braves. Here in the third as Malicki catches the outside corner, 1-1. First of 3 games today on the Fox networks. Fox Network as well as Fox Family. Bounce foul, 1-2. Coming up at 4 o'clock Eastern on Fox Family, the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals, presented by Budweiser. Arizona with a 1-0 series lead. And then at 8 Eastern on Fox, Game 1, Yankees hosting the A's, presented by the New York Stock Exchange. Roger Clemens and Mark Mulder, a pair of 20-game winners.
How about that game in Arizona last night? Curt Schilling locked up with Matt Morris of the Cardinals. A one-run game, 3-hit shutout for Schilling. Talk about a couple of guys putting up some zeros. That's exactly what they did in that game.
And all the Cardinals have to do today is go up against Randy Johnson in Game 2.
Yeah, pick your poison. 3 hits, 9 strikeouts. Schilling's 98th pitch of the game was at 97 miles per hour. I mean, Bob Brenly, their manager, what a luxury to have. Let's flip a coin. Let me go with the 22-game winner during the regular season, or let me pick the big left-hander, the 21-game winner.
And you have the privilege of watching Schilling and Johnson day in, day out as one of the voices of the Diamondbacks.
You know, and really, that is not the best game that Schilling has pitched this year. He and Kevin Brown of the Los Angeles Dodgers locked up early in the season.
Right back up the middle, a base hit for Glavine. On a 3-2 pitch, Tom Glavine singles to lead off the third.
And speaking of Schilling, let's take a look at his performance last night. Great fastball up in the strike zone. I mean, this guy had it all working last night. You just can't hit those.
With Glavine on first, bunted foul by Marcus Giles. Braves fans won't want to hear this, Rod, but the last 1-0 complete game in the postseason, Jack Morris for the Twins in Game 7 of the 1991 World Series against the Braves. John Smoltz started for Atlanta. Smoltz did not allow a run in that game in 7 1/3. Twins won the World Series. That was the last 1-0 complete game in the postseason before Schilling did it last night. Giles swinging away, caught by Castilla, doubles up Glavine. The third double play in 3 innings turned by the Astros.
Well, this is not a hit and run. What Glavine must do is make sure the ball is on the ground before he takes off to run to second base. Nice play by Vinny Castilla at third, catching this ball and then doubling up Glavine. You've got to make sure the ball's on the ground. When the ball is hit on the line, what you want to do, if it's a double play situation, you've got to get back to the bag.
So a double play in every inning for the Astros defense. They turned 2 yesterday. The only run of today's game scored on one of the 3 double plays. Julio Franco reached on Lugo's first error in the first inning, falls behind 0-2.
If you're Glavine, you take a couple steps off, and then once he catches the ball, you've got to be going back toward the base. Even if the ball's hit and he catches it on the ground, you're going to be out at second base anyway, so there's really nowhere for you to go.
High 1-2. Inside, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Back in the first inning, Julio Franco was doubled up off of second base on a line drive off the bat of Brian Jordan. When you're already in scoring position, you can't get greedy. You can't advance on a line drive hit directly at the defender. There's nowhere for you to go.
Franco got a piece of it. Count remains 2-2. Glavine making his 28th career postseason start. Malicki his first. Similar situation yesterday with Greg Maddux and Wade Miller. Both pitched outstanding ball games. Castillo. That will do it for the Braves. In the third, they lead by a run. For the New York Yankees, and Rod, the war of words has begun in New York. Brad Ausmus leading off for the Astros here in the bottom of the third inning. Mulder, 21-game winner. Clemens finished 20-3, odds-on favorite for the American League Cy Young Award. 8 o'clock on Fox, presented by the New York Stock Exchange. 0-2.
You know, Mulder last season did not pitch in postseason. He had some back trouble, but what a season he had. 21 wins, and Oakland, their top 3 starters, Barry Zito, Tim Hudson, Mark Mulder. 3 great young-looking prospects.
Clemens said yesterday, if I feel somebody is covering both sides of the plate, this is a different time of year. And we all remember what happened in the World Series last year against Mike Piazza. Little nubber back to Glavine, who throws out Ausmus for the first out of the inning.
Well, look at the headlines. That's back page of the New York Post. And one thing we have seen with teams like the Braves and the Yankees, you don't call them underdogs. Remember last season how they struggled just to get into the postseason? Then they went on to win the World Series. Same thing with Atlanta Braves. Fewest wins of all the postseason teams at 88, but they get a win in yesterday's game. You don't call teams like the Braves and the Yankees underdogs.
Well, Art Howe's A's finished with the second best record in baseball behind the Mariners.
Yeah, they finished 14 key games out of first place.
And Howe said yesterday it's going to take a great series from the Yankees to have a shot to beat us.
Oh, that's some bulletin board material right there.
Sure, it's up already.
Well, you know, obviously Art Howe feels very, very comfortable and confident with his team, and rightfully so. They won 102 games.
Malicki into right. The catch is made by Brian Jordan. 2 away.
You know, Billy Beane, one of the brightest young executives in the game. And right around the All-Star break, he didn't know which direction to go, whether to hold on to Jason Giambi, whether to deal Jason Giambi. He decided to hold on to him. Also got Jermaine Dye from the Kansas City Royals in a 3-team trade with the Colorado Rockies. And Dye really started to provide some protection for Jason Giambi in that lineup. You've got to have it. You've got to have the protection for your big guys in the lineup, especially in postseason.
And the A's started the regular season, what, 8-18, and the Mariners got off to such a hot start that the A's knew there was no way they would catch up to Seattle and win the division. But with the wild card setup in place, they had the best second half in baseball.
Well, their starting rotation, very, very good. Good offense, good team, good manager. Very, very confident group. Young.
Now, Roger Clemens, despite losing twice to the A's in the division series last year, will go into the game tonight with a 17-inning postseason scoreless streak as Biggio grounds out to Giles. A 1-2-3 third inning, an 8-pitch third for Glavine. Back in Houston on Fox Family, Kenny Albert with Rod Allen. Game 2 of the National League Division Series. Braves and Tom Glavine with a 1-0 lead. Astros only 1 hit. They had only 6 hits in yesterday's Game 1 loss. This the third Division Series matchup between these clubs. Back in '97, Braves swept the Astros 3 games to none. '99, 3-1 Braves. And the Braves with the 1-game edge here in 2001 as the curve misses low and away. Ball 1 to Chipper Jones, who walked his first time up back in the first inning.
Well, the main reason why Houston has not been able to beat Atlanta is because they have not been able to put runs on the board. It's that simple. When you go up against Atlanta, you're not going to get 3 and 4 hits in an inning. Therefore, you've got to put a hit and run on every now and then. You've got to sacrifice. You've got to steal a base. You've got to play great defense. You've almost have to play your best game against Atlanta if you're going to beat them.
As we talked about yesterday, by winning in St. Louis on Sunday, the Astros finished in first place in their division and did not have to go on the road to Arizona and face Schilling and Johnson in games 1 and 2. Instead, they started at home. Chipper bounces one to the right side, taken to the bag by Bagwell. So the lesser of two evils. You get to go home, but you have to face Maddox and Glavine in games 1 and 2.
Well, I mean, you're talking about 4 great pitchers in Schilling and Johnson, or Glavine and Maddox. Of course, the 2 out in Arizona, they get it done with power. These 2 here in Houston, control, finesse. But the bottom line at the end of the day is the W in the win column. And for the most part, all 4 of them have a lot of W's in that win column.
Brian Jordan lined into a double play back in the first inning. On the other side, Larry Dierker used 14-game winner Shane Reynolds on Sunday because the Astros had yet to clinch the division. Otherwise, Reynolds probably would have started yesterday's game, and then Wade Miller today. Popped foul to the left side. Instead, Miller started game 1 and was tremendous. You have Malicki going in game 2. Reynolds will pitch game 3 on Friday. And then, if necessary, a game 4 on Saturday. Rookie sensation Roy Oswalt is coming back from a groin injury. He would go in game 4 against Greg Maddux.
Well, we watched Roy Oswalt pitch in a simulated game a couple of days ago and did a very good job. There's nothing the matter with his arm. Great fastball, good breaking ball. The key for him, though, when you have those growing injuries, you get a look at the young guns this season for Houston. Wade Miller, 16-8, followed by Roy Oswalt, 14-3. Those growing injuries are tough. They're tough to treat. You've got to have that mobility on the mound, and they feel like he's healthy. We talked about the outside corner. That ball's off the plate. A lot of fans think it should be called a strike, but so far, Chuck Merriweather doing a very nice job of calling the balls and strikes.
The 2-2. Crush foul down the left field line. Brian Jordan had some huge home runs down the stretch against the New York Mets, who made their move in late September. Jordan, including yesterday, 6 home runs in his last 13 games. The 2-2 from Malicki. Ball went away. Full count.
Well, Jordan's a big-time player. Once played defensive back for the Atlanta Falcons. He's tough. Plays the game hard. He's emerged as a team leader, a vocal team leader on the Braves this season.
Popped up. Lugo. 2 away. And the sarcastic cheers from this Enron Field crowd as Julio Lugo, who committed 2 errors earlier and 1 yesterday, made the catch.
Well, so far, Malicki really doing a very good job against Braves hitters. Starts them out away, and then he's been able to finish some of them off on the inside part of the plate. He wasn't doing that early in the game.
He's allowed only 3 hits. The Braves' run was unearned. It was scored by B.J. Surhoff, who's at the plate. It takes a called strike. Surhoff doubled down the left field line, leading off the 2nd inning. And then 1 batter later, Andrew Jones was robbed by Lugo with a base hit, but then Lugo's throw allowed Surhoff to advance as he bounced the throw in the dirt to Bagwell. And then Surhoff came in to score on a 6-4-3 double play ball off the bat of Sanchez. So BJ with the game's only run. Braves leading 1-0, top of the 4th inning. The 0-2 from Malicki. Another foul. Well, Well, Chipper Jones said after yesterday's game, we avoided our worst case scenario, which would be to lose 2 here in Houston. Now we have to try for our best case scenario before heading home to Atlanta, where the Braves finished under 500 at home this year. First team ever to advance to the postseason with a losing record at home. Popped up. This one will be playable. Castilla charging and calls off Ausmus. And that retires the side. A 1-2-3 fourth inning for Dave Malicki. Still 1-0 Atlanta. Back in Houston, Tom Glavine was terrific down the stretch in the regular season. He lost only twice in his last 21 starts.
Number one, I think physically I started feeling better, which enabled me to throw a little bit more often in between starts and work on my mechanics. And then it was just kind of I guess, a little bit of a change in philosophy, not being so stubborn with how I pitched and how I tried to get guys out, and be more open to using the inside part of the plate and using my off-speed stuff.
Key word there, stubborn. When you've had as much success as Glavine has had throughout his career, and you've won as many games as he has won, it's hard to change. But the new strike zone implemented by Major League Baseball caused Glavine into throwing more on the inside part of the plate. He did that, and he went on to have a very good season. But earlier in the year, he just tried to stay away, and he wasn't getting those strikes.
The 1-1 to Julio Lugo. Catches the inside corner, 1-2.
Look at his season. April through June, 17 games, a 4.82 earned run average. 10-2 after that. Very good numbers for Glavine.
A called strike 3. So Lugo goes down on strikes. First strikeout for Glavine. First strikeout of game 2.
And that's the pitch Glavine's been talking about. He is now throwing the fastball or the cutter on the inside part of the plate. Lugo jumps back. He thinks the ball's inside, but that's just great location by a guy that has great control.
Glavine has faced only one batter above the minimum so far. Astros have had only 2 base runners, as Bagwell takes ball 1 low and away. Bagwell walked in the first inning but was picked off to end the inning. And then Moises Alou singled in the second. That has been it. Glavine's retired 6 in a row. Foul back to the screen, 1-1 on Bagwell.
Well, you like the way Glavine stays away from the power hitters. If a guy like Bagwell is going to beat Glavine in this game, he is going to make him hit the ball in the right center field or right field if he has enough power to drive it out that way. Will not make that mistake inside.
Two balls, 1 strike. Wow.
Whew. Regular season. Awesome numbers, but Biggio and Bagwell, no secret, they've struggled in the postseason.
Bagwell is 6 for 42.
We told you early in the game that Glavine will test your patience, and that is exactly what he is doing here with Bagwell. 4 pitches, 4 tailing fastballs down and away from him.
Pitch number 5 is fouled off.
You know, Kenny, you cannot do a lot of damage with that pitch. The ball tailing down and away from you on a 3-1 count. As a hitter, you're big, you're strong, you're aggressive. You're looking to drive something into the gaps, and this guy's able to paint on the outside corner. If you take it, it's strike 2, so you may as well swing at it.
Bagwell walks for the second time today. As we check in the game break, Jeannie Zalasko.
Kenny, you saw the headline. Now consider yourself warned. Roger Clemens says if the A's crowd the plate, he knows what needs to be done.
The fact that everybody comes after us, we know that. We know everybody's shooting for us. That's in a regular season on a, on a Wednesday night game. They're coming after us. So if we're not ready, you can get embarrassed.
Clemens talking the talk tonight. He'll get to walk the walk on the Fox Network, Kenny.
All right, thanks very much, Jeannie. Lance Berkman takes ball 1. Roger Clemens The Game 1 starter for the Yankees. Yankees and A's. 8 o'clock on Fox. Presented by the New York Stock Exchange. Clemens 20-3 this year. Goes up against 21-game winner Mark Mulder. Called strike 1-1 on Berkman.
That should be a great game. You've got two great pitchers, and you've got two very good teams with two very good managers. That should be a real good game.
Yankees 3 consecutive titles, 4 of the last 5 under Joe Torre. David Justice will start in right field. Paul O'Neill still banged up a bit. Yankees had a number of nagging injuries down the stretch. At one point, they lost a player with an injury in 5 consecutive regular season games in September. Now 1-2 on Berkman. Mike Mussina has been a terrific postseason pitcher in his career with the Orioles. Getting his first taste of the postseason in pinstripes this week. Bagwell, the runner on first with 1 away. 1-2 to Berkman. Glavine missing away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. How about the years Miguel Tejada and Eric Chavez had for the A's?
Well, 2 young players with tremendous talent finally coming into their own. Anytime you have young players like Eric Chavez and Tejada, they have to learn the strike zone because they didn't spend a lot of time in the minor leagues. Therefore, they're going to be free swingers very early on, but they're finally learning exactly what they want to do.
Berkman goes down on strikes for the 3rd time in the series. 2nd strikeout of the inning for Glavine.
Well, that's the biggest difference in Bagwell, who took the base on balls and tried it down to first base, and Berkman. Berkman does not hit the slow stuff. Let's take a look at the pitch sequence here. Away. Next pitch is going to be down and away. That one's a strike. And now you start swinging at it because he's called one of them. And then finally when he gets 2 strikes on it, you feel like that ball is going to stay in the strike zone. And Glavine, because he's so good mixing them up and making that ball dart down and away from you, he gets you out in front of it.
As Glavine throws to first, Moises Alou at the plate has the Astros' only hit today. In fact, Moises led the National League rod this season with a .429 batting average against left-handers.
One thing about Alou, those are great numbers against left-handers, but he is very, very good against right-handers. He's what you call a professional hitter. Very seldom does he strike out, does not go out of the strike zone, very short, very quick, very compact with his trigger. I'm talking about his hands. And when he decides to swing the bat, always has his body in a good position to generate the maximum bat speed.
Nothing in 1. Alou, a member of the 1997 World Series champion Florida Marlins. He was one of the stars. Jim Leyland back in '97. Alou reaches out. Glavine quickly off the mound, backhands it, and beats Alou to the bag for the final out of the inning. 4 innings in the books from Enron Field. The Astros only 1 base hit off Tom Glavine. You're watching Fox Family, Fox Sports, the exclusive home of the baseball postseason and the 2001 World Series. The first fans are here once again. Former President George Bush and former First Lady Barbara Bush. Dueling caps.
Yeah, they got it all covered.
Now the former president had his red Astros cap on yesterday, switched to the blue. So I guess he went home, went through the closet, and to try and change the Astros' luck after they lost Game 1. President Bush has gone to the blue Astros cap.
Yes, maybe he knew that the players would be wearing the blue today. He matches with the team.
wearing the red shirt once again for the second straight day. Check swing, bloop, base hit. Second hit of the game for Andruw Jones.
Are you saying he wore the same shirt yesterday?
No, I didn't say that. Just the same color. I think yesterday's shirt was a little lighter shade of red.
Oh, you're going to try to cover it up now.
This one is in the maroon family, I would say.
Okay.
As we dissect the former president's wardrobe, Ray Sanchez steps in against Dave Malicki. That one nearly got away from Bagwell.
That's why pitching coaches, when you do decide to throw the ball over to first base, they want you to throw the ball over there the way that you always practice it. When you see guys just lob the baseball over there, this is the end result a lot of times. They will throw the ball down the right field line.
Remember, Sanchez grounded into a 6-4-3 double play in the second inning, scoring Surhoff from third with the game's only run.
Andruw Jones stole 11 bases during the regular season, was caught 4 times, a 1-0 count here. Sanchez is the guy that can handle the bat. You know, somehow, some way, Bobby Cox wants to get Jones down in the scoring position.
There he goes. Line drive caught by Castilla. The fourth double play turned by the Astros in 5 innings. 3 of the 4 have started with Castilla. Sanchez has hit into 2. The Astros turning 4 double plays in 5 innings.
You can watch baseball for an entire month and watch the Houston Astros, and you will not see any team hitting the 3 double plays on line drives to the third baseman where the runner has taken off from his position. It's a hit and run right here. It's a ball that Sanchez has got to hit on the ground somehow, some way, because you knew and I knew they were trying to get Jones down to second base.
Baco takes high for a ball. The only inning in which the Astros have not turned a double play was the 4th, but they did not have any base runners, the Braves, in the 4th inning. Malicki pitched a 1-2-3 inning.
You got to tip your hat to Malicki. He has made the pitches when he has needed to. I mean, Braves only have 4 hits.
Now falling behind to Baco, 3-0. The most pressure-filled start of Malicki's career prior to today was back in June of '97 before a full house at Yankee Stadium. He was pitching for the Mets. 3-1. It was the first ever interleague game between the Yankees and the Mets. Malicki pitched for the Mets that night and threw his first career complete game. Struck out 8 and was named the National League Player of the Week. And he talked about that game earlier this week as one of the highlights of his career. Had never pitched before in the postseason. Full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes on Baco, 2 outs here in the 5th. Ball 4. Second walk issued by Malicki this afternoon.
Malicki's been in a little trouble today, but back in the first inning, a line drive. Double play right here. Franco getting doubled off, and then you've got Lugo starting 1, 6-4-3. Then you've got the next 2 in the 3rd inning. Line drive, Glavine on first base. He gets doubled off. And then this inning, Andruw Jones taking off. Sanchez line drive to Castilla. Another double play.
Well, the Astros have tied the division series record with 4 double plays today. Ironically, the record set back in October of '95 by the Braves in the '95 National League Division Series. The first year division series were played, as the Braves beat Colorado 5-4 in game 1. Braves turned 4 double plays. Greg Maddux started that game for Atlanta.
Well, 10 straight seasons the Braves have won their division. I'm sure they have set a lot of records from an offensive standpoint and on their pitching staff.
John Smoltz, Braves closer, is the all-time winningest pitcher in playoff baseball with 12.
How about that stuff John Smoltz was featuring in the 8th and 9th inning here yesterday? 99-mile-per-hour fastball.
Glavine, ground ball to the shortstop. Lugo takes it to the bag himself. Did not take any chances. And then leapfrogged over the sliding Paco. Midway through game 2. Still 1-0 Atlanta. Middle of the 5th here in Houston, 1-0 Braves. Now, Rod, you accuse me of saying that former President Bush has worn the same shirt 2 days in a row.
That I did.
Now, thanks to the magic of videotape, this was yesterday.
Right.
Red shirt, red hat. And then today, a darker shade of red and the blue hat.
See, I was right. I told you he didn't have that same shirt on yesterday.
You were absolutely right. First pitch of the bottom half of the 5th inning. Hidalgo grounding out to Julio Franco. Hidalgo now 0 for 2. Pitching coach Bert Hooton on the phone to the bullpen. Malicki has pitched 5 innings, allowing an unearned run on 4 hits.
Malicki also due up 5th in this inning. And if the Astros get down to Malicki's spot with runners in scoring position, they'll pinch hit for him.
Vinny Castilla, first pitch, base hit, left field. So Hidalgo and Castilla both swinging at the first pitch from Glavine. Castilla has his 3rd hit of the series, only the 2nd Astros hit of the game. Once again in postseason play, the Astros bats have been very quiet. A .204 team average in their 6 previous playoff series. And over the first 2 games in this series, 8 hits in 13 1/3 innings. Now, Malicki has come out into the on-deck circle with Ausmus at the plate with 1 away. We saw Octavio Dotel in the Astros bullpen. And
well, yesterday in the 5th inning, Ausmus homering off Maddox.
Hidalgo had walked with 1 away in the 5th. So now Ausmus, similar situation, 1 out, bottom of the 5th inning, runner on first. As Dotel throws in the Astros pen.
One kid who was real nice, real good kid, and he just killed it his first day.
I'm not so sure Larry Durker will pinch hit for Malicki if Castilla's on first base, but if he gets himself down in the scoring position, then he may pinch hit for him. Chris Truby, a 3rd baseman and a right-handed batter, more than likely would be the guy.
Durker with a lot of trust in his bullpen despite what took place yesterday afternoon. The Astros led the National League in saves. And as you mentioned in our open yesterday, he has 4 guys who have been closers at one point during their careers. And one of the big debates after yesterday's game regarded Durker bringing in Mike Jackson in the 8th inning yesterday instead of Octavio Dotel. Ausmus with a drive to left. First and 3rd for the Astros. Just missed another 5th inning home run.
Ausmus has had a great series for Houston. Pulls the bat back and hits a bullet in the left field. This ball missed by inches from going out of the ballpark. When you go up against a guy like Glavine, as you get a look here, this ball just about 2 feet from going out of the ballpark. Or into the stands, I should say. The roof is closed here.
If a ball strikes the fence above that yellow line, it's a home run. Hit just below.
Yes, it did.
A ball that either strikes the yellow line or hits below is in play. And that one on the replay looked to hit just below the yellow line. But even if it hit the line, it's not a home run.
Looks like the ball hit right in here somewhere. Here's the mark right there.
First and third, 1 out. Chris Truby pinch hitting for Dave Malicki. Truby in his 9th year in the organization, 27 years of age. Appeared in 48 games during the regular season. He was the opening day third baseman, but then was sent down when the Astros acquired Vinny Castilla.
Well, Truby's a great story. You spent that much time in the minor leagues, you finally get a chance to come up. And now you find yourself in a situation where you can really make a name for yourself. You see Glavine really testing the patience of Truby on the outside plate, part of the plate. Truby wants to make him get something over the plate like Ausmus did.
2 balls, no strikes. 3-0. Fans on their feet here at Enron Field. First and third, 1 out. In a 1-run game. Called strike on the outside corner, 3-1.
Truby was taking all the way on the 3-0 pitch from Glavine. Location, location, location. Woo!
Three and 2.
Now here's where Glavine can be tough. His best bet is to go back outside to see if Truby's going to be over-aggressive on the 3-2 pitch. But from time to time, he's thrown that cutter inside, trying to get the ground ball.
The payoff pitch, he struck him out. After falling behind 3-0, Glavine strikes out the pinch hitter, Truby, for the 2nd out of the inning.
This is just good pitching by Glavine. Truby thinks he's going to get something good to hit on the 3-1 pitch because he knows Glavine doesn't want to walk him to get to Biggio. So he's over-aggressive on the 3-1. Then on 3-2, he just knows he's going to get a strike. He gets a changeup, fooled out in front, strike 3.
So with 2 away, here's Biggio, who only has 1 RBI in the playoffs against the Braves in 37 at-bats over 3 series.
Well, Biggio and Bagwell, they've been invisible in postseason, 97 through 99, 128 batting average, 5 runs driven in between them. Biggio would like to change that right now.
Glavine missing away, 1-1. Biggio 1 for 6 in the series, 0 for 2 today. He's not gotten the ball out of the infield today. The Astros hitless with runners in scoring position. There's Castilla on third. Biggio, ground ball to the second baseman, Giles. The flip to Sanchez, and the Braves are out of the inning. For the first time in the series, the Astros with 2 hits in an inning, but Castilla and Ausmus stranded. Ausmus inches away from giving the Astros the lead. Astros stranded a runner on third in the 5th. We move to the 6th. Still 1-0 Braves. As Octavio Dotel, the 25-year-old right-hander who came over from the Mets prior to last season in the Mike Hampton deal. Comes on for Larry Dierker in relief of Dave Malicki.
Well, a lot of people thought Dierker should have brought Dotel into the game yesterday when they had a 1-run lead in the 8th inning. 62nd game this season for Dotel. He's got an electric arm, blazing fastball.
He led all major league relief pitchers in strikeouts during the regular season, and he has finally accepted his role. He bounced back and forth between the rotation and the bullpen over the last couple of years, but has finally come to understand that he's in a good spot.
Well, Dierker has 4 guys down in his bullpen. He has a lot of confidence in Mike Williams, Mike Jackson. Dotel is one, of course, their closer, Billy Wagner. But for the majority of the year, it's been Dotel and Wagner. Dotel is the setup man, and Wagner would come in and close out games. But yesterday, Dierker chose to go to Mike Jackson instead of Dotel in the 8th inning. And, of course, the Braves came back to win that game.
Giles fouls it back. While on paper, today's matchup of Glavine and Malicki seemed to heavily favor the Braves. Malicki did not allow an earned run in 5 innings, only 4 hits. 1 run, it was unearned. 2 walks, no strikeouts, and he was helped out by the 4 double plays.
Well, that's the way Malicki's pitched for Houston since coming over from Detroit in the tail end of June.
Dotel strikes out Marcus Giles for the first out here in the 6th.
You want guys that come in for you in close games that can miss some bats, and Dotel can definitely miss some bats. Here it is. Hit it. My best against your best. 97-mile-per-hour fastball. Giles had no chance.
With 1 away, here's Franco. Reached on an error in the 1st inning, grounded out to 3rd in the 3rd. First pitch, he pops it up. Shallow left. The shortstop Lugo. 2 away. And again, the sarcastic cheer from the crowd as Lugo makes the play. Interesting to watch Lugo in the top of the 5th inning on the grounder by Glavine. Instead of flipping to the second baseman, Biggio took it to the bag himself, and it was a close play.
I think he felt like he was the one that had to make the 6 unassisted there, because Biggio was playing a little bit further over in that hole, the second base hole, and he may have not been able to get there. So not a bad play by Lugo, just a close play.
Swing and a miss. Chipper Jones is 3 for 7 lifetime against Dotel with 2 strikeouts. Nothing in 2.
Whew. Dotel is throwing hard. He's starting that fastball on the inside part of the plate, and it's got some tailing action to it, running back on the inside corner.
Chipper just got a piece of it. You know, many of the fans right now, as Dotel has retired the first 2 Braves and now ahead 0-2 to Chipper Jones, wondering what would have been in the 8th inning had Dierker gone with Dotel yesterday instead of the veteran Mike Jackson. One and 2.
All fastballs by Dotel. Where's this last pitch at? Ausma setting up on the inside part of the plate. Ball just a tad below the knees.
Chipper into left. Lance Borkman. A 1-2-3 6th inning for Octavio Dotel. Well, a big day of baseball coming up. Game 2, 4 Eastern on Fox Family. Diamondbacks and the Cardinals, presented by Budweiser. And then at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Fox. Game 1, Yankees and A's, presented by the New York Stock Exchange. Another baseball triple header. Braves lead this one 1-0. Bottom of the 6th inning. Julio Lugo leading off against Tom Glavine. Braves scored their run back in the 2nd inning, following an error by Lugo, which allowed Surhoff to advance to 3rd. Will Lugo beat the throw? No. He grounds out to the second baseman, Giles. Julio not only having a tough time in the field in the series, but he's 0 for 6 at the plate. Here's Bagwell. We asked Bagwell for his personal scouting report on Atlanta starter Tom Glavine.
Glav, you know, he's a pain in the neck, really. He never gives in. You know, even in spring training, he never gives in. He's going to stay away. He's come in a little bit more this year, throwing a few more breaking balls than he normally has in the past. But he's a tough guy. You know, he's going to stay out on that outside corner with his sinker and his changeup. And if you're in the right mood and you feel like swinging, you're going to hit a lot of ground balls to second base or shortstop, and that's not what you want to do. You got to make sure you get a pitch on the plate to hit.
That gives you an idea of just how good Tom Glavine is. You know exactly what he's going to do to you when you go to the plate, and you still cannot hit it. Although Bagwell has been very patient against Glavine today, his first 2 times up, he has walked.
You think of the written reports the Astros received from their scouts, the phrase pain in the neck that Bagwell used is included in those reports?
Yeah, I'm sure those may be some of the choice words used to describe Tom Glavine, and a few more.
The edited version. Now 2-2. Bagwell, as you mentioned, has walked twice today. In his career, he's a .368 hitter against Glavine in 57 at-bats, and he has also walked 17 times. So in just about 1 out of every 4 at-bats against Glavine, he has walked. And he's 1 ball away right here.
You know, here's what some guys may want to try to get on top of the plate against a guy like Glavine.
Bagwell, base hit into right field. 4th hit of the game for the Astros as the throw gets away from Sanchez, but Bagwell holds. The second hit of the series.
You know, I'm talking about when you face a guy like Glavine, because he stays on the outside part of the plate so much, you want to get on top of the plate a little bit more here. Bagwell's not as close as you'd like to be, but what he did get here was a pitch up in the strike zone. When Glavine makes a mistake up in the zone, that's what you've got to do to him. Because for the most part, everything is below the knees away. A great at-bat by Bagwell, basically taking exactly what Glavine's going to give him, and that's a single to right field.
And now a huge at-bat for Berkman. Ground ball to the shortstop, Sanchez to Giles for 1. 6-4-3 double play. Berkman is now 0 for 11 against Glavine. And 6 innings are in the books here at Houston. Braves with the lead. We'll return after this message from your local Fox station. Shifts to Turner Field on Friday. 4 Eastern on Fox. Shane Reynolds and John Burkett.
Well, Shane Reynolds has had an awesome year, and John Burkett, when you get him around guys like Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, it just makes you that much better. And he's a guy that will put a little on, take a little bit off, control pitcher, finesse pitcher, but works down the strike zone, doesn't beat himself, doesn't walk a lot of people.
1-2 now on Jordan.
Dotel just throwing some fastballs by good fastball hitters. Anytime you get up to 96, 97, you've got a little tailing action to it, you're going to miss some bats.
Jordan, the only Brave who has taken Dotel deep in his career. Strikeout number 2 for Dotel. He's retired 4 in a row.
This is where you've got to pitch Brian Jordan on the inside part of the plate. He doesn't have a quick bat, but he's very, very strong. And if you leave the ball out over the plate, he likes to drive the ball in the right center and left center, but he can't catch up with that one. He hit a ball out of the ballpark yesterday. Similar pitch from Wade Miller, able to pull his hands inside and hit a little lazy fly ball that got over that high wall in left field, but couldn't catch up with that one.
A classic Enron home run.
Yes.
Enron with the shortest left field fence in the National League. Up the middle, base hit, center field. Second hit of the game for B.J. Surhoff.
Well, if you're the Braves, when you go to the plate, you know you're going to get some hard stuff, because that's what Dotel has done since coming into the game. BJ doesn't hit that ball very hard, but enough of it to muscle it into center field.
Andrew Jones takes ball one from Dotel. Jones with 2 hits today, the infield single in the second inning. On that play, Lugo's throw was in the dirt to Bagwell, allowing Surhoff to advance to third. And now Jones with his 3rd hit of the game as he rips this one into left.
You know, at times Andrew Jones goes to the plate and it appears that he doesn't have a great idea. But he's such a talented player with great ability, quick hands. If you try to throw a ball by him like Dotel did right here, right down the middle, he will rip it into left field. He has got some kind of talent.
What do you think the marching orders are to Sanchez, who has already hit into a pair of double plays today?
Stay out of double play.
Don't swing. First and second, 1 out. Sanchez does swing, sends this one to deep right. Alou makes the catch. Tagging is Surhoff. He slides safely into third. So the Braves now have runners on first and third with 2 away for Paul Bacco.
Well, Bobby Cox not going to pinch hit for Glavine in the on-deck circle. Wouldn't be surprised the Osmonds go out and have a conversation with Dotel, or Dotel call him in to see exactly how they're going to approach Bacco.
We saw Schilling bat for himself last night in the bottom of the 8th inning with the bases loaded in a 1-0 game.
Well, that's a nice job by both managers. Tony La Russa wanted to force Bob Brenly's hand to see if he would pinch hit for Schilling with the bases loaded, but Bob Brenly did not want anyone else on the mound but Curt Schilling, the way that he was pitching in that game. And now Dotel and Osmus conversing out on the mound. If Bacco gets a hit here, he's going to have to hit Dotel's pitch. But the one thing about Dotel, doesn't have great command. He's not a guy you can say, okay, throw the ball on the outside part of the plate. Sometimes you set up outside and he'll throw the ball inside, but he is overpowering. But in this situation, if you're Bacco and you get something in the vicinity of the strike zone, you want to try to drive the run in because you know they're trying to pitch around you.
First and third, 2 away. A called strike on the outside corner. 97-mile-per-hour fastball from Dotel. Bacco walked his last time up. Lifetime against Dotel. He's 0 for 3. Nothing in 2. Surhoff, who has scored the game's only run, is on third base. Andrew Jones on at first. Dotel set for the 0-2.
That ball right down the middle of the plate. Dotel feels pretty good about himself today and the stuff that he's featuring on the mound, but the last thing you want to do is give up an 0-2 base hit on a fastball right down the middle. This ball's right down the middle.
Right back to Dotel. So the former Astro, Paul Bacco, unable to get the job done with 2 on, 2 out. In the top of the 7th, it remains a 1-run ball game, 7th inning stretch time here at Enron. Back in Houston, we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. Kenny Albert with Rod Allen. 1-0 Braves. Our game summary is brought to you by Nissan. Atlanta 1 run, 6 hits. Astros no runs, 4 hits. Both starting pitchers outstanding, as was the case yesterday. Julio Lugo, his second and third errors of the series. And the Astros have turned 4 double plays.
Here's a key play here in the 5th inning. Ausmus just misses a 2-run home run, gets a single out of it, and then Tom Glavine goes to work, stranding the runner at third base. They call it a game of inches, Kenny.
Ausmus went deep in the 5th inning yesterday, a 2-run homer, just missed today. And Ausmus, a guy who hit only 5 home runs during the regular season.
Well, he's been one guy that's been getting pitched to in this series. A lot of times, pitchers will pitch around Castilla or Hidalgo in front of him, and then they have to go after him. He's taking advantage of it.
Moises Alou, Richard Hidalgo, and Vinny Castilla for the Astros here in the 7th against Glavine, who has not allowed a run. He's given up only 4 hits. He's walked 2, struck out 3. Bouncer moving to his right. Giles plants and throws. He got him. Terrific play by the rookie second baseman Marcus Giles, throwing from behind second base to nail Moises Alou.
You know, when you think of Giles, you think of a guy that doesn't have a lot of range, but he shows some here. And smart here. He stops, plants his feet, throws back across his body to make sure he makes an accurate throw to Franco, realizing that Alou still bothered a little bit by that right calf injury, not running as well as he normally does. It's a good play there by Giles.
Hidalgo takes a called strike. 0 for 2 today. Has not gotten the ball out of the infield after walking 3 times in game 1. Action in the Braves bullpen. Mike Remlinger and Steve Karsay are up. Greg Maddux went 6 innings yesterday. Tom Glavine pitching into the 7th today. A base hit into right field. Giles could not get to it. Good attempt. 5th hit of the game for the Astros. First hit of the series for Hidalgo.
Outside part of the play, hit off the end of the bat. The ball was spinning. As a matter of fact, his bat broke. Giles with a dive trying to get there. As a second baseman with Glavine on the mound, you know you're going to get a lot of action in the game, especially against a lineup like Houston that has a lot of right-handers
in there. Vinny Castilla. As we take a look at the Braves pen, Vinny Castilla, 3 hits in the series. He homered yesterday. 25 home runs during the regular season. Check swing. Strike, says the first base umpire, Mike Winters.
These situations are the ones that makes Glavine so good. He makes you do what he wants you to do in this situation. Ball away from him. He's trying to get Castilla to hit the ball on the ground, and more often than not in this game he's been able to do that.
The 0-1 right back to the box. Glavine to second for 1, to first, double play. 1-6-3, and the Astros are retired in the 7th. All right, thanks, Genie. So Mark McGwire, who was struck out twice by Curt Schilling last night, will not start in game 2, presented by Budweiser on Fox Family at 4 Eastern. Game 2, Cardinals and the Diamondbacks. Glavine batting for himself here in the 8th inning. Has a hit today. Mike Jackson now to pitch for the Astros. Jackson, of course, yesterday took the loss as he allowed 3 runs in just a third of an inning. Gobbled up by Castilla. Bagwell the stretch, 1 away.
You know, Mark McGwire really hasn't been healthy all season, and when you go up against guys like Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson, you've almost got to be 100% as far as your lower half of your body is concerned. If you can't turn on that back knee or get any kind of leverage with your legs, you're not going to hit 96, 97 mile per hour fastball. So a wise decision by St. Louis manager Tony La Russa.
One away in the Braves' 8th. Here's Marcus Giles. Giles 0 for 3. Had a big day at the plate yesterday with 2 hits and RBI. He scored 2 runs. The younger brother of Pittsburgh Pirate All-Star Brian Giles. Marcus has beat Brian to the postseason.
Brian is here, as a matter of fact. I was talking to Marcus yesterday. Said his brother came in to watch the division series. Bobby Cox going to try to get one more inning out of Glavine and then go to John Smoltz. Smoltz pitched 2 innings in yesterday's game, but he only threw 20 pitches.
Giles rips one into the left field corner. On his way to second. He's in. Well, Jackson came in for yesterday's game in the 8th inning. Now the first batter he faced was Keith Lockhart, who doubled into the left field corner and then scored the tying run with 1 away in the 8th inning here in game 2. Giles doubles into the left field corner.
Giles is a good fastball hitter. He had 2 hits in yesterday's game, drove in a run, scored a pair of runs. So he's played well offensively and defensively for Atlanta in the 2-game series.
Now pitching coach Bert Hooton is out on the mound, and now Larry Dierker coming out as well.
It looked like Bert Hooton was pointing to his shoulder. It appears that maybe Jackson's not healthy out there.
And Dierker calls for the right-hander Nelson Cruz. We'll return to Houston in a moment. Braves leading 1-0 in the top of the 8th inning. Kenny Albert, Ron Allen back in Houston. Coming out to pitch for the Astros, 29-year-old right-hander Nelson Cruz.
Nelson Cruz came over from Detroit along with Brad Ausmus from Detroit last season. 3 saves, 2 saves this season. 67th game for the Houston Astros. Got a good arm, 75 strikeouts, 82 innings pitched. Got a couple of tough hitters to get out in this inning. Julio Franco, followed by the dangerous Chipper Jones. What he would like to do is somehow get Franco out, and then they've got the base open with 2 outs. More than likely they'd walk Chipper.
Astros led yesterday's game 3-2 in the 8th inning. But the Braves would score 4 in the 8th. Highlighted by Chipper Jones' 3-run homer on the first pitch he saw from his hunting buddy, Billy Wagner.
They're hunting buddies, huh? How about that?
Planning a big trip in the offseason.
Think they'll talk about that home run?
I would think it would probably come up at some point.
This is difference in the game right here. Surhoff lacing a double down the left field line. And then getting the third and coming home on a ground ball.
When the Braves arrived at the ballpark about 9:30 this morning, the Astros were stretching in front of their dugout, and Chipper, in his street clothes, immediately walked over to Wagner, and they talked for about 5 minutes. One away. Giles takes his leadoff second. Julio Franco at the plate. Julio 0 for 3 today, 2 for 8 in the series. Right down the middle for a called strike. We are told Mike Jackson did leave due to an injury, which is why Cruz was allowed the extra warm-up time. Cruz, the 4th Astros pitcher to start. Malicki allowed 1 unearned run in 5 innings. Dotel 2 solid innings out of the pen. 1-0 Atlanta. Time called by the home plate umpire Chuck Merriweather. Coming up on Fox Family, 4 Eastern, Cardinals and Diamondbacks presented by Budweiser. And then at 8 Eastern on Fox, Game 1, Yankees and A's, presented by the New York Stock Exchange. The 0-1, Franco gets the bat on it. Flies out to the right fielder, Alou. Giles tagging and beats the throw.
I'll be very surprised here if they don't walk Chipper Jones. Brian Jordan's been in these situations quite often this year, but Larry Dirk is going to go out and have a talk about it.
It was the same inning yesterday afternoon, the 8th inning, with 1 out, when Jones took Wagner deep for the 3-run home run, which gave the Braves a 6-3 lead. Giles now at third after tagging, 2 outs in a 1-0 game.
Well, here's what Chipper did yesterday with the game on the line. Billy Wagner leaves a fastball out over the plate. Chipper looking for the pitch. Good swing, drives it out of the ballpark.
Intentional walks were the story here in Houston last week when Barry Bonds was in town, and Larry Dierker took some heat during that series. But nobody, Astro fans at least, will not complain about this intentional walk.
No, this is the right move. You've got Chipper Jones, who's a very, very dangerous left-handed hitter. He's driven in 102 runs this year. And then you've got the right-hander Brian Jordan in the on-deck circle. You've got the open base. You've got 2 outs. You want to go after the right-hander. But Nelson Cruz is going to have to make good quality pitches against Jordan, because so often this season, Jordan has been up for this challenge.
Jordan drove in 2 runs yesterday. He's 0 for 3 today. 0 for 2 lifetime against Cruz. First and third, 2 outs. Top of the 8th inning, with the Braves leading 1-0. In for a called strike, 0-1 to Jordan.
Difference in the bullpen. Yesterday they gave up 6 hits, 4 earned runs. Today they've been very good. They have not given up a run, but they have given up 3 hits.
First and third, 2 outs. The 0-1. Fastball missing away. 92 miles per hour, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, you wonder what pitch Cruz is going to get, or at least try to get Jordan out with. He showed him the changeup on the very first pitch right over the plate, so Jordan put that in the back of his mind. Then he comes back with a fastball here tailing away from him.
Two and 1. Cruz just missing on the outside corner.
This is where you've got to be smart as a hitter. You've got to look for your fastball, but at the same time, you've got to remember the very first pitch that he did throw to you, that changeup.
Popped up, back into the stands, 2-2.
He got the changeup.
In the 7 years since the inception of the division series, only Bernie Williams of the Yankees has more RBIs than Brian Jordan. to their feet. 2-2 on Jordan. First and third, 2 outs. Down the right field line, not playable. Looking ahead to the Astros 8th. Ausmus will lead off, followed by the pitcher spot, a pinch hitter, and then Biggio. 1-0 Braves in game 2. Two and 2 count on Jordan. Cruz ready. Got him with the fastball. 2 Braves stranded. Atlanta just 1 for 7 today with runners in scoring position. So the Astros bullpen coming up big.
On Fox is brought to you by Volkswagen. On the road of life, there are passengers and there are drivers. By Charles Schwab, expert advice that's objective, uncomplicated, and not driven by commission. And by KFC. There's fast food, then there's KFC.
Game 2 of the National League Division Series. 1-0 Braves over the Astros, bottom of the 8th inning. Tom Glavine delivering to Brad Ausmus a called strike, 0-1. Ausmus nearly gave the Astros the lead in his last at bat, just missed his second home run of the series. Instead, a long single. Jose Vizcaino in the on-deck circle. He will bat for the pitcher Cruz. The Astros were shut out only 3 times during the regular season. They have not been shut out in their last 102 games. But they have not yet put a run on the board today against Glavine and the Braves.
Here's the last 6 batters Glavine has faced. Everything on the outside part of the plate. Houston hitters continuing to try to pull the ball except for Bagwell. He takes it the other way. Everybody out in front, lots of ground balls. Glavine has been a master at getting the ground ball today. What a job by Tom Glavine this afternoon.
On one hop, Giles to Franco, 1 away. In fact, the last 2 innings have ended with double plays. 12 straight ground ball outs induced by Glavine.
You know, one thing Glavine has done today, he's working fast, he's throwing strikes, and he's changing speeds. That's why he's doing such a nice job against this, at times, over-aggressive Houston team. But he hasn't really given them anything to hit.
Jose Vizcaino pinch hit in the 8th yesterday and struck out. He had the game-winning hit in Game 1 of the World Series last year for the New York Yankees in inning number 12 against the New York Mets. Low and away, 1-1. Wade Miller, yesterday's starter. Bloop into shallow right. It drops. In between Giles and Jordan. A pinch single for Jose Vizcaino.
Well, Vizcaino hit that one like Glavine threw it. Very soft on the outside part of the plate. He was fooled, but he kept his hands back, which allowed him to loft the ball over the head of Giles in front of Jordan in right field.
The Astros, Rod, have had a man on base in every inning except the 3rd, but they have not been able to score. They've had only 1 man reach 3rd. That was Castillo back in the 5th. No other Astros have advanced past first base.
Well, Biggio's really going to have to concentrate here. He's really going to have to think about making Glavine get something up. It's going to be on the outside part of the plate, and he has to drive the ball in the right center.
Biggio 0 for 3. He has not gotten the ball out of the infield today. One away, the Astros 8th. They trail 1-0. The right-hander, and the southpaw Mike Remlinger up in the Braves pen. Off the end of the bat foul, 1-2.
Glavine will send you home with that comfortable 0 for 4. He doesn't touch 90. You tell yourself every single at bat, I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to get a good pitch to hit. But he just picks on the corners. You see his outs today. 12 ground outs, only 6 fly outs for Houston. And Houston is a fly ball hitting team. And Leo Mazzoni on the right there starting to rock a little harder.
10 of the last 11 outs have been ground outs. The 1-2. Biggio, diving play by Giles. He got him. Marcus Giles takes a base hit away from Craig Biggio.
Well, the playoffs are where you make a name for yourself. And Marcus Giles is doing that. Look at him stretch out. And he knows he's got to hurry because Biggio can still get down the line. That's a big-time play. He's made a couple of great plays in this game. Look how quick he gets to his feet.
Beat him by a half step. 2 outs. Vizcaino takes his leadoff second, and out time is called. Julio Lugo with a chance to turn from goat to hero. For 6 in the series with 3 errors. His error in the second inning, his second error today, led to the only run of the game. A throwing error which allowed Surhoff to move to third. Surhoff would later score. Low and away, 2-0 with Jeff Bagwell waiting on deck should Lugo reach.
Well, Lugo definitely is the guy that Glavine wants to go after. But like Bagwell told us earlier, Glavine does not care what the situation is. He is just not going to give in.
Ball 3. 3-0. Glavine has walked Bagwell twice. That has been it as far as walks are concerned today in game 2.
Lugo's got to be taken here.
Takes a called strike, 3-1.
Wouldn't be surprised if he was taking another strike from Glavine.
Vizcaino, the runner on second. Lugo puts the bat on it. Moving to his right, Brian Jordan makes the catch. Lugo retired. The Astros retired in the 8th. Glavine, 8 superb innings. We move to the 9th with the Braves leading by a run. Marcus Giles, outstanding in the field.
Series on Fox is brought to you by Budweiser with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you.
Billy Weigel already off to a better start than what took place yesterday when his first pitch was taken out of the ballpark by Chipper Jones. Surhoff falling behind 0-2.
Well, Billy Wagner said if he could do it all over again, he would start Chipper off with the exact same pitch he did yesterday, but he would locate it better.
One 1-0 Braves, top of the ninth. Wagner gave the Braves some bulletin board fodder prior to the series. The Astros fans were criticized for cheering for Barry Bonds and against their hometown Astros last week, and Wagner was asked about it. He said, let's see them boo us when we come back home and stop the blank out of the Braves.
Well, that's definitely bulletin board material, but you've got a guy on the mound that has a lot of confidence in his ability. And that's Billy Wagner. And for the most part in his major league career, he's been able to back up everything that he says.
Bobby Cox was asked about it on Monday. He said, hey, if I were Wagner, I would say the same thing.
Yeah.
Shows confidence.
He's got that 97-mile-per-hour fastball. Also a good slider. Very, very important for him to keep the Braves at only one run if he's going to give his team a chance to get back in the game, and more than likely it will be against the closer of the Braves, John Smoltz.
Oh, and he hit Surhoff. That one got away from Wagner.
You know, on the previous pitch, Wagner was surprised that Surhoff was even able to get bat on the ball. The ball's on the outside part of the plate. So that time he comes back inside to take command of the inside part of the plate, and Surhoff looks like it hits off the hand.
Now Bobby Cox out.
He's in a lot of pain.
A chat with Surhoff. Let's listen.
Didn't sound good.
You know BJ wants to stay in the game. Coming up, 4 Eastern on Fox Family. Game 2 from Bank One Ballpark. Diamondbacks and Cardinals presented by Budweiser. And then at 8 Eastern on Fox, Game 1. The defending World Series champion Yankees with Roger Clemens on the mound host the Oakland A's, presented by the New York Stock Exchange. Another big day of baseball. Second day of the 2001 postseason as the Astros hope they can come back in the bottom of the ninth. Otherwise, they would head to Atlanta down 2-0. Called strike on the inside corner. Andruw Jones has 5 consecutive base hits in the series after he struck out twice early yesterday. He singled in the 7th, homered in the 9th, and has 3 singles today. 0-2.
Well, coming down the stretch, the Braves probably played their best baseball the last 3 weeks of the season. During the course of the regular season, they were spotty with their offense. Their pitching wasn't as good as it has been in the past, but they have really stepped up, and they've been getting revved up for the postseason. They played some huge games in the month of September against Philadelphia, the New York Mets.
Remember, the Braves were 8 games behind the Phillies in June. Astros, similar situation. They were 8 games behind the Cubs in June. So both these teams fought through adversity. Astros finished with the best record in the National League. Braves won the NL East. The 0-2. A swing and a miss. It gets away from Ausmus. So the Braves with runners on first and second. They're in the top of the 9th inning.
Braves catch a break right here. Great breaking ball down in the strike zone, but Ausmus does not get down. Didn't turn his glove over the right way. You've got to get down there prepared to block that ball, especially when you know you're getting the slider from Billy Wagner. He had his glove turned the wrong way. Ball bounces off the glove over to the right. Jones gets... Well, Jones couldn't run. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Now Sanchez fouls it off.
When that base is occupied, you cannot get down to first base. But Surhoff was able to advance.
Jones forgot about the rule. He hustled down to first.
I forgot all about Surhoff being on first base myself, as I saw Jones sprinting down the line.
Sanchez, another foul, 0-2. Sanchez 0 for 3 today. He's hit into a pair of double plays. Also fly to right. .97 miles per hour from Wagner, but just missed inside 1-2. Surhoff, the runner on second, 1 out. Top of the 9th inning. Surhoff goes. Sanchez strikes out as Surhoff steals third.
Well, it's not often you see Surhoff take off and try to steal a base. Does not have good speed. 2 stolen bases during the regular season. Had Osmus been able to catch this ball, he would have been out at third. But a great hustle play. It's one thing the Braves will do once they get in the postseason. They will do some things they don't normally do during the regular season. Osmus just a little quick there, trying to get the ball from the glove to the throwing hand.
Paco takes a called strike. Rod, no Brave has made contact here in the 9th inning yet. Surhoff is on third base. He was hit by a pitch, moved to second on the wild pitch, and then stole third.
Go figure.
1-1. You know, that play Giles made in the last half inning will bring back nightmares for Astro fans. Walt Weiss with the Braves in Game 3 of the 1999 NL Division Series. Made a similar play in the 10th inning against the Astros as he made a diving stop on the Tony Eusebio liner, which resulted in a force at home.
The ball is up and out over the plate. Chuck Merriweather's done a nice job behind the plate today.
Paco flies out to Berkman on the left field warning track. We head to the bottom of the 9th. Bagwell, Berkman, Alou, the heavy hitters due up for the Astros. You're watching Fox Family. Will return for the bottom of the 9th after these messages from your local station. Bottom of the 9th inning, Game 2 of the National League Division Series. The Atlanta Braves, who won 88 games during the regular season, fewest of the 8 postseason clubs. Won Game 1, 7-4 on the road. Lead Game 2, 1-0. And the closer, John Smoltz, who earned the save yesterday, also has 12 career postseason wins. Most in the history of Major League Baseball, comes on here in the bottom of the 9th to face the heart of the Astros order.
Well, if you're Jeff Bagwell, you know you're going to get some hard stuff. Fastballs, 96, 97, 98 miles per hour, good hard slider, and he has a split finger fastball he'll put you away with if he needs to do that.
Called strike, 0-1. Bagwell flied out to the left field warning track against Smoltz yesterday in the 8th inning. Base hit left field. So the Astros have the leadoff man on for the first time today, only the second time in the series. Bagwell's second consecutive hit. He's reached base 4 times today.
Well, back-to-back sliders by John Smoltz. The first one on the outside part of the plate. Bagwell didn't swing at it, and he got one up. Bagwell's such a good hitter. Singles sharply in the left field.
Since the division series was instituted back in 1995, as Berkman fouls one off. Only 2 teams have come back from 0-2 deficits. The 95 Mariners against the Yankees and the 99 Red Sox against the Indians. The only teams in division series play since 1995 that have come back from 0-2 deficits. 0-2 on Berkman. Should Smoltz shut the door here in the bottom of the 9th inning, the Braves would return home for a potential series clinching Game 3. But remember, the Astros had the best road record in the National League this year, and the Braves finished under 500 at Turner Field. Bagwell on first, the 0-2. Berkman, grounder gobbled up by Franco, gets the out at second, back to first, double play. The 3rd double play of the game turned by the Braves.
You talk about the Braves playing great defense in the game. Julio Franco's a shortstop by trade. They got him out of the Mexican League. This is probably the biggest play of the year for him. He gets the ball. One of the toughest plays to learn if you're a new first baseman, that 3-6-3 double play, but he gets it to Sanchez and then gets back to the bag. What a play by Franco.
Think Smoltz is excited?
You don't think he's not pumped up right now?
The Astros down to their final out here in Game 2. 7 double plays in the game. 4 turned by the Astros, 3 by the Braves. A new division series record. The 1-0 to Alou. Check swing. Ball 2-0. Should Alou retrot, a pinch hitter, Orlando Merced, is in the on-deck circle.
And he's been awesome this year, talking about Merced. What a double play. Nice turn by Sanchez. Great feed by Franco. Didn't get much better than that.
Foul back to the screen, 2-1. Coming up on Fox Family, 4 Eastern, Game 2, Cardinals and Diamondbacks, presented by Budweiser. 8 Eastern tonight on Fox, Yankees and A's, presented by the New York Stock Exchange. The 2-1 from Smoltz. Alou takes 3-1.
Well, Alou's a dangerous fastball hitter. Smoltz knows that. It's going to be interesting to see whether he challenges him here with his good fastball.
3 balls, 1 strike, 2 outs. Catches the outside corner, 3-2.
It's one thing about Maddox, Smoltz, Glavine. They've all got great command. They can throw the baseball where they want to.
Popped up to the right side. Giles backpedaling, calls off Franco, and the Braves take a 2-0 series lead. A combined 7-hit shutout for Tom Glavine and John Smoltz.
Big players show up in big games. That was the case with Glavine. He got some help from his friends, Marcus Giles, and also John Smoltz closing it out.
The Astros with a batting average of just .210 over the first 2 games in this series. Smoltz, his 2nd save in as many days. Glavine the win. His 11th career postseason victory, just 1 behind Smoltz on the all-time list. Dave Malicki, the tough luck loser, did not allow an earned run. Julio Lugo, 2 more errors. One of them led to the only run of the game. So the Astros, who earned home field advantage, will head to Atlanta for Friday's Game 3, down 2-0. silence here in Houston. The Astros fans can't believe it. They might not see their team play another home game here at Enron Field this year. They must win 2 in Atlanta,
which is going to be tough to do. You can throw out a lot of the season records as far as pitchers are concerned, home field advantage, road advantage. And you've got teams that have been battle tested like this Braves team, and you can see they're happy, very happy. A lot of people didn't give them a chance in winning this series here against Houston because they only won 88 games during the regular season.
One positive for the Astros. Their Game 3 starter, Shane Reynolds, started the only 2 playoff wins over the last 13 Astros postseason games. Reynolds and John Burkett in Game 3. Moments away, Game 2, Cardinals and Diamondbacks on Fox Family, presented by Budweiser. And then tonight at 8 Eastern on Fox, Yankees and the A's, presented by the New York Stock Exchange. The Astros shut out for the first time in their last 103 games. They were shut out only 3 times all season. Their bats silenced once again. For more information on today's game and the latest information on Major League Baseball, log on to foxsports.com. For Ron Allen and our entire crew, Kenny Albert saying so long from Enron Field in Houston. The final score once again, the Atlanta Braves 1, the Houston Astros 0. Stay tuned for Jeannie Zalesko and Kevin Kennedy, who will come to you from the Fox Network Center after these messages. Braves won the game 1-0. They lead the series 2-0 and head home to Atlanta for Game 3 on Friday afternoon.
For all, everything, it takes something. Dave Malicki's making his first playoff start, 27 fewer than Tom Glavine. You look at what he has done in Houston, and everyone talks about recently how he is 9-0 since 1992, but prior to that, he was 0-8. Those starts, of course, with the Astrodome. Here we go. Top 1, Julio Franco is up. Julio Franco will hit it to Julio Lugo, who's still licking the wounds from the Game 1 miscue. Fields and fires, and can't have that. Over the head of Bagwell. They give the error to the shortstop. Brian Jordan, Rip City. Vinny Castillo with a glove. Boy, Brian Jordan is 1 for 7 in the series. Jones, what a play. Lugo, make it through. Oh, no.
And
by Bagwell.
And that sends DJ Surhoff over to third.
You know what's going to happen. Still in the second, first and third, no one out. And Ray Sanchez, that's a 6-4-3 double play. But DJ Surhoff scores 1-zip Braves. Who knew at that point? That was the second inning. That might be it. Brad Ausmus, though. No!
If it wasn't for bad luck, they would have no luck. What, about a foot from being a second home run in 2 games?
How about that fan in the blue? You've got to bring that back in, big man. Give him something to think about. Chris Truby pinch hitting for Dave Malicki in a big spot here.
Well, this is Tom Glavine at his best. Goes 3 pitches away. Okay, 2 on, 2 out now. Throws the fastball now. What is he going to do? Everybody knows what's coming. Change up. Truby knows what's coming. Change up, strike 3. He's been doing this so long, it doesn't matter if they know it or not.
We learned a lot about Marcus Giles over the last couple of weeks, and he's certainly continued his upward trend. Great plays at second base.
Good position, too. Here's Biggio going with the pitch there, and Giles comes up with a great play.
Biggio is 0 for 4. Allou's 1 for 8 in the series, and in comes John Smoltz. He pitched in Game 1.
Well, the question is, could he maintain his stuff 2 days in a row? He hit 99 and 98 in that inning. I think he can maintain it.
He had a pretty good battle with Allou here.
Who was questioning it, did he? He could come back anytime throwing that.
Elbow fine, Allou pops up. Giles is there.
Dick Moises would like to have that one back.
He would love to have that back. 3-2 slider hanging.
Pretty good luxury, though. The Braves bullpen has certainly changed its look, and having that guy wrap things up helps a lot. Tom Glavine, another phenomenal outing when it comes to the postseason. 8 innings. He throws only 97 pitches. Maybe the strike zone was a little wide for him, but that's Tom Glavine's game. Bagpipes goes 2 for 2. The errors, once again, due in Houston, who are now 1 game away from being totally done in.
I was so locked into trying to get a double play ball right there that once I got a strikeout, it was kind of like,
okay, I had to regroup, you know, because I had one more hitter to get out, and it was Biggio. So, you know, it was a turning point in the game. Obviously, I probably caught a break with Ausmus's ball that he hit it so hard that it didn't have a chance to get up and get out. But, you know, I mean, that's baseball. I mean, it's a game of inches, and you know, I got a break that ball didn't go out, and I was able to take advantage of it and not give up any runs because of it.
Truby's a, you know, kind of a free swinging hitter. He doesn't get very many walks. I was hoping that he'd be able to do something because he's pretty good against left-handed pitchers and pretty good against off-speed pitchers. But in this case, Glavine beat him. I think it was probably more a matter of experience versus inexperience than anything else.
Well, we saw three phenomenal lefties take to the mound on this day. We saw Glavine, who got a win. We saw Mark Mulder, who got a win. We saw Randy Johnson, who got a loss. And all three of them have very different styles. And even if you were to throw you in, you have a different style than those three.
That's right, and certainly this was nice for me to watch, but they do have different styles in the sense that Tommy Glavine basically stays away, Randy Johnson, the power guy, and Mulder's kind of a combination of both. And I just wanted to show this. Here's an overhead. Tommy Glavine throws to the third base side of the rubber, and that's the illusion of trying to, he throws across his body. Here's a guy who throws anywhere from 83 to 89 miles an hour, and he still blows it by guys, and guys don't get good swings on it. You can see where he's on the right side of the rubber, and he throws to the left side. Here, in this particular bat, he was, Bagwell was batting .389 with 3 home runs, not going to give him anything good to hit. And by just having that compact delivery, hiding his front side, and being able to hide the ball as long as he can, that's how pitchers are able to have the deception of an 88-mile-an-hour fastball. They call it being sneaky. Now, Randy Johnson is just straight gas. Here he leaves a fastball up. We saw this earlier where the ball is supposed to be inside. He left it out over the plate. Pujols, a strong hitter, goes the opposite way. 97 miles fastball away. Randy, you know you're either going to get a high fastball, he uses both sides of the plate, and a slider that's generally down and in on the right-hander. Pure power. Now, Mulder is really a combination of the both. I wanted to show this a bit because here he throws a fastball, a big slow curveball. He backdoors a slider. Now here comes a changeup. Fastball inside. He uses all of his pitches on both sides of the plate. Another changeup after fastball in. Changeup down and away. And then he takes a little off on a two-seam fastball and has Bernie pull off the ball. Great pitching. This guy didn't win 21 games for no reason. He's got both sides of the plate. He's got a great delivery. This guy's not only going to have a good year this year. To me, he's got a great delivery. He's going to be good for a long time.
He knows that. The A's certainly know that. And the Yankees, if they needed a reminder, they got it. So Mark Mulder, as Peter talked about, very composed, picks up the victory. He didn't walk, and this is a tough thing to do, didn't walk any Yankee hitters.
Yeah, I really couldn't believe just how focused I was and how you're kind of in your own little tunnel with your catcher. I mean, I didn't hear the crowd. I didn't hear my teammates. I didn't hear anybody, you know, but I mean, it wasn't quite like the regular season. There was a lot more adrenaline going and a lot more emotions.
Although the crowd there seemed to be sort of a regular season crowd because of his ability to take that crowd out of it. Now, Mulder, whose career is very young, would like to put up the same numbers that Tom Glavine has in the postseason. Glavine, of course, gets the victory for the Braves. Most wins in 1-0 games. Al, you're familiar with one of these because he did it against you, and you were outstanding in that game. But Tom Glavine, and this is postseason history, Peter, no one has won more 1-0 games than Glavine. A true